It's Nicole. I'm here today with Thermoweb and a project using Deco foil. That's masculine. A lot of the times we think about foils, it's nice and sparkly and it's great for feminine pages, but it's really good for masculine ones too. You can see here I've pulled out several different masculine colored Deco foils, lots of different green tones. I have some different colors of blue, as well as a pewter and a black tone that I'm going to use for some embellishments and my title. Now I've also printed off here a clear designer toner sheet. I've taken one of this basic clear ones and I've gone ahead and printed off some cut files like I have right here that I'm going to use on my page for embellishment. And then I also have this nice broad stripe brushstroke designer toner sheet that I'm going to cover with Deco foil. So I'm going to pull that out and we're going to use that for like a pattern paper on the project. So what I did first is I went into my Silhouette software and I've printed off a PNG file onto that clear designer toner sheet, and I've just trimmed it down so it's smaller. And now I'm going to run my title here with some of that pewter and some of that black Deco foil. So I'm going to put each little piece a little bit over, just slightly larger than my words, and I'm going to go ahead and just run that through my heated laminator. While that's working, I'm going to kind of work through my Deco foiling on the brush stroke toner sheet. And so I'm just going to cut thin little strips here of various colors of those Deco foils I had initially. So it's just some skinnier strips, and the idea is you just want to cover each of those black lines there with the different color of the Deco foil. As you can see here, I've peeled that off, and really nice shine and shimmer on there, nothing too girly. So I'm going to go ahead and just line up my green foils where I want them. And I'm kind of leaving a space. I want to make a bit of like an ombre feel. So I'm going to start off with the green in a lighter tone and then work darker and then go with the blue. And that will just fill up all those strips all along that toner sheet. So you can see I'm just prepping up here a bunch of different pieces of the Deco foil. Cuts really fast, so I can just line those pieces up all the way down to fill up that sheet. Really quite simple. While I run one through, I can grab another Deco foil color and just cut off a couple thin strips and then just keep on going. So really fast and not a lot of waste. If this is a really great project for if you have a lot of little scraps of foil, you could very easily cover those strips really small pieces and then make the most of all that foil you have. So now I have quite a few done, so I'm going to go ahead and just finish the rest and kind of just have the strips fill in. So instead of doing one color at a time, I'm going to go ahead and just fill all the strips in. So here's that darker denim color, really pretty. And that will get all my foil onto that horizontal sheet. So while that goes through the laminator, I'm just going to trim down with my scissors here where I've already foiled with the black Deco foil. The black's not super shiny, it's just a nice touch. I know it's really hard to tell here because obviously I've printed in black to get it through the laminator to work properly, but it has like a nice shimmer to it, like a nice little shiny sheen. I'm just going to grab some other pieces of Deco foil. As you can see here, some of the black, I had some hair on top of that and didn't pick up in some of the areas. So I'm just using my scraps to run that back through again. So the black, back to the black. The black is a really nice sheen. It's not super shiny like a silver would be. So it's just a nice, not matte, but it's definitely has a gloss to it, a nice gloss effect on that toner sheet. So I'm just going to trim those down, and I have my own, letters here, and acrylic letters essentially, or acetate letters for my page. So super simple, very easy to do, and you can customize it your own way, right? So now I'm going to add some 3D foam squares in behind each of those letters, just get those ready for when I want to put my page together. Really easy, and because these have been foiled, you can't see through them, so that's another plus where you could use the foam adhesive in behind and you can't tell. So you're using the clear, but the foil kind of helps hide that adhesive a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and figure out where I'm going to place some of the items on my layout. So I have these pictures of my boys here, and I'm just going to trim down that transfer sheet a little bit. It's a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. You can see all the pretty foiled areas. There's several different ways you could stick this down with some dots, for example, but I'm just going to use my stapler and just add a few little staples, which is kind of a masculine feel, to get that to stick on my page. However, I buckled it a little bit when I stapled that top corner, so I'm just going to lift that up and add a little tape runner in behind just to get that to lie a little bit flat. And then I'm going to go ahead and start on putting this thing together. So I'm just going to place my photo in this top corner. Actually, I'll end up moving it more into the middle of the page in the end once I start fiddling around. And then I tried to decide what I was going to do here with the rest of my title. So I know I want to have the life with and then boys separate. I don't want it to have it in the long line. So I'm still trying to think of that and work it through in my head. So I'm going to take, in the meantime, I'm going to take this super fun shattered silver foil and run all my stars through. Those I'm going to trim down as well, as you'll see, and use those as embellishments. I did way too many stars in my print, but I figured if I was going to print anyway, I might as well use the most of the sheet. And so I printed a whole bunch of stars. I'll have extra that I can use on another project, so it's never wasted. And very, very fast to do. As you can see, that went by through the laminator quite quickly. So now I'm just going to get things kind of moving. I wanted to add a little bit more pattern to this page, so I'm going to grab some pieces of pattern paper here. I'm just going to pull some things that I like, and I'm not sure where I'm going to end up with that, but just some more masculine kind of colors to pull in a little bit of another color on the page so it's not quite so monotone. Even though there's the blue and the green, it still, needs a little pop of yellow or red or something. So I'm going to get my photo down, and then I'm going to just tuck some little strips of paper in around my photo area. So I'll get my title down too, so I kind of know how large my pieces of paper are going to be. And I'm trying to decide where exactly that title is going to be. I'm going to start sticking it down here, but you'll see that I'll move it again. And even though I'm sticking it down with the foam squares, if you're gentle enough, you're not going to ruin your paper if you peel it off. And the best part about being on the transfer sheet is it's very easy just to lift it off the acetate and then stick it down somewhere else. So I'm just going to peel those little pieces of backing off the foam adhesive away and then layer my little letters down. Pretty simple. And then I have some strips of paper that I'm cut, so I'm just going to tuck those in and around my photo area, like I mentioned, just to get some more pattern in there. And there you go, a little more texture too. So what's left? So now I know I have some journaling strips that I've cut out, so I need to get those onto the page as well. And again, I need to just finish off with those stars that I've foiled, so I don't want to forget about that. So I'm just going to add a few droplets of mist here to the background, as you can see, just so the cardstock is not quite so plain. And then I'm just going to use my scissors to trim out those stars. If you're doing this through a digital die cut software, you could do the print and cut option. I just didn't feel like it, to be honest. I knew I wasn't going to use all of the stars, so I thought I would just go ahead and cut out the ones that I liked. So I'm just going to cut out the few that I need, but you definitely could do the exact same thing with the print and cut, and then run that printed transfer sheet through your laminator with your favorite foil, whatever that happens to be for your project. So it doesn't make it very hard at all. Actually, the transfer sheets that you can print, there's so many different options. I mean, you can print anything you want on there. As long as it's in black, you're going to be able to use the transfer foil, the Deco foil, and add your own little sparkle to it. So pretty fun, pretty awesome. I'm going to add my sentiment here with my journaling, and then I'm going to add those stars in around. And again, even though that's on the clear transfer sheet, because I have put the Deco foil on top, I can add adhesive behind it, and it's not going to be visible. You'll be able to hide it really nicely. So I'm able to use foam adhesive, and that will be able to pop those up so you have your own 3D embellishment just by doing a little bit of printing. So how fun are those stars? Nice and sparkly, but not too much. And that black, again, I really like the black on the font. You can't really tell that it's even Deco foil, to be honest. It's almost like a glossy texture. Super fun and very easy. Once I get all these stars on the page, I really didn't add too much more because I had quite a bit going on with the different foils, all the different foil colors that I've used, as well as the stars there and my title. Although I thought about adding a few more bits of pattern paper just to get a little bit more color on that top corner. So I'm just going to use a tiny little strip here of, I believe it's a craft. I'm going to trim that down a little bit. And that will probably be it for my pattern paper choices. And that's just to kind of widen out that area in where my photo is. So that turned out pretty good, and I have still some stars left, and I'm trying to decide if I want to use some more. In the top corner here of my photo, I end up adding in a few buttons to finish off the page, as well as a a punched tab, and I added a little bit of stitching. But then I decided to move on with my other part of my title, and at first I thought I would cut it into like a clear pennant shape, but I ended up just going around the outer